Some of the best golf courses in the country feed their greens with treated sewage. Dried microbes from a plant up in Milwaukee, pressed into little pellets, sold in a plain bag that's barely changed in 100 years. And here's the part that actually got me. That same bag sits in your hardware store, a couple shelves down from the famous 4-step program, for a fraction of the price. I've kept the same Half-Acre for 30 years and never had a clue. A guy who works on a golf course had to tell me over my own fence. Stick with me, because the lawn I sell is counting on you never putting those two bags side by side. So how does a 100-year-old bag of fertilizer end up being the thing the experts trust on a championship golf course, while the rest of us pay a premium for it at the same hardware store a couple aisles over? Let me take you back to where this started. Milwaukee, 1926. Back then, the city of Milwaukee had one very ugly problem, and that problem was sewage. The whole city's wastewater was pouring toward Lake Michigan, the same lake the city drank from, and people were getting sick. So the engineers built a big treatment plant out on a spit of land called Jones Island, and they tried something that, honestly, still sounds a little like a magic trick. They fed the dirty water to microbes, tiny living organisms that eat the organic gunk in wastewater, multiply like crazy, and then die off once they run out of food. The cleaned up water goes back out to Lake Michigan, but that left the plant staring at a mountain of dead microbes piling up with nowhere to go. Here's the part nobody at the time expected. Those dead microbes were absolutely loaded with nitrogen. Nitrogen is the exact nutrient that makes a lawn grow thick and green. So instead of hauling the stuff to a landfill, the sewerage district dried it out, ground it into little pellets, and made a bet that they could sell their treatment plant leftovers as fertilizer. They ran a naming contest in a national fertilizer magazine to give it a label, and the winning entry just mashed 3 words together: Milwaukee, organic, nitrogen, Milorganite. And this is where the golf course walks into the story. The district brought in an agronomist named O.J. Noer, a soil scientist from the University of Wisconsin, who was so deep into the science of grass that the golf world eventually handed him a title. They called him Mr. Turf. I am not kidding. Noer took this Milwaukee pellet out to the golf courses himself and ran trial after trial, plot after plot, right there on the greens and the fairways. He did not just run it through a lab. He watched what the grass actually did, season after season, and he built one of the first real soil testing operations in the country to prove it out. And the turf loved it. It came in thick, even, with no ugly surge of growth and no burned out patches. One course superintendent told another, the way greenskeepers always talk shop, and the word went coast to coast. Within a few years, that plain Milwaukee bag was rolling out by the rail car to golf courses, sod farms, and flower growers all over the country. Now, I told you this stuff is made of microbes out of a sewage plant, and I watched your face do the exact thing my face did when the golf course guy told me. So let's just walk right into it. A bag of this fertilizer is not, no matter what your brain is yelling right now, a bag of poop. I need you to hear me on that. It's the microbes themselves, the little organisms that ate the organic matter in the wastewater, dried out and pressed into clean pellets. And the drying is the whole ballgame. After they squeeze the water out with big belt presses, you get a damp material they'll tell you looks a lot like wet cardboard. Then that wet cardboard goes into a row of giant rotary kilns, bus-sized drums, cranked up past 900 degrees. Think about that for a second. 900 degrees Fahrenheit. There is nothing biological walking out of an oven like that. What comes out the far end is a dry, gray, basically odorless little granule that looks exactly like every other fertilizer pellet on the store shelf. So that's the journey. It starts as a problem at a Milwaukee sewage plant, runs through a 900-degree kiln, and ends up as a tidy bag at your local garden center. The folks who make it have a pretty good line about it. It isn't waste. It's microbes that ate well. And once you get past the ick, you kind of have to admit it's genius. A whole city took its single biggest waste headache and turned it into a bag of lawn food the golf courses have trusted for a century. And no, I'm not making any of that up. But hang on to that picture of the plain bag for a minute, because the part that actually got under my skin isn't what's inside the bag. It's what happens to the price sticker the second a marketing department gets its hands on a lawn. We're getting there. First, let's read the bag, because the numbers on the front tell you almost the whole story if you know how to look at them. Every bag of fertilizer in that aisle has 3 numbers stamped on it. This one reads 640. 6% nitrogen, 4% phosphate, and basically no potassium. And if the lawn aisle has trained you the way it trained me, those numbers look puny. The big synthetic bags right next to it are shouting much bigger numbers, 20-something% nitrogen, sometimes up around 30. But that small number is hiding the actual trick. Most of the nitrogen in this Milwaukee bag is slow release. It's water insoluble, which is a fancy way of saying it does not dump into your soil all at once and then wash straight down the storm drain with the first heavy rain. It feeds your lawn slowly and steadily for about 8 to 10 weeks, as the bugs in your soil break those pellets down a little at a time. There's a touch of iron in there too, around 2.5%, and iron is the thing that deepens that dark golf course green without whipping your grass into a growth frenzy. It will not burn your lawn, even if your spreader gets a little enthusiastic and you double up on a strip. You don't even have to water it in afterward. One bag, about 32 pounds, covers roughly 2,500 square feet of yard, and then it just quietly works for 2 solid months while you do nothing. Now think about why a golf course loves exactly that. A greenskeeper does not want a burst of fast growth. Fast growth on a putting green means more mowing, uneven color, and stress on grass that has to look perfect for somebody's Saturday tee time. He wants slow, even, no burn, no drama feeding, which is precisely what this plain bag does. But I'm not going to lean on this fence and sell you a miracle, because it isn't one. Here's the honest trade-off, the part those hyped up lawn videos always conveniently skip. Slow release means slow. If you spread this stuff on a Saturday and then stand on your porch Sunday morning with your coffee expecting a neon green carpet, you are going to be let down. A synthetic quick release bag absolutely will green your grass up faster because it's basically pouring all its nitrogen into the soil at once, like an energy drink for your lawn. The Milwaukee bag doesn't do that. It's patient. It's a slower, steadier feed with a lower nitrogen number on the front and a longer payoff in the yard. So that's the deal, plain and honest. It is not a miracle, and it is not a poison. It's a slow, steady, golf course-proven bag of lawn food that has been doing the same boring, reliable job for 100 years, which leaves exactly one question worth asking. Why does the plain bag cost so much less than the flashy bag sitting right beside it on the same shelf? And that, neighbor, is where I started getting a little hot under the collar. To understand the price tag, you have to go back to the lawn aisle right after World War II, because that's the moment everything flipped. For the first couple of decades, this Milwaukee fertilizer was simply the standard. The golf courses used it, the serious gardeners used it, the sod farms used it. Then the war ended, and a whole industry of factories that had spent years cranking out chemicals for the war effort suddenly needed something new to make and sell. One of those somethings was synthetic urea, cheap, fast, factory-made nitrogen produced in enormous quantities. And it came flooding into the brand new world of the American suburb. Picture it, freshly built subdivisions, wide green front lawns, dad out on the weekend with a shiny new spreader. Millions of new homeowners, all of them suddenly responsible for a patch of grass. All of them perfect customers. The fast synthetic nitrogen greened those new lawns up quickly, which felt fantastic, and that is exactly the problem. Quick release burns through in a few weeks, so the lawn fades, so you go buy another bag, and another. That looked like progress at the time. It wasn't, at least not for your wallet. Someone in marketing figured out that if a lawn needs feeding several times a year anyway, you could package that as a system. A spring bag, a summer bag, an early fall bag, a late fall bag, color-coded boxes, a brand name on every one, and a tidy little calendar printed on the side telling you precisely when to come back and spend again. The 4-step program was not invented because your grass demanded 4 bags. It was invented because 4 bags sell better than 1. And that plain Milwaukee bag, the one the golf courses never actually stopped buying, it never left. Same stores. A lot of the time, the same aisle. Often just a couple of shelves down from that famous 4-step box. Go look next time you are standing in front of that big wall of fertilizer bags. I'll wait. Because here is the thing that really got me. The flashy 4-step program and the plain golf course bag are fighting over the exact same patch of your lawn, in the exact same store, off the exact same shelf. One of them spends an absolute fortune on television commercials, glossy bags, shelf displays, and that step-by-step calendar. The other one is a sewage district up in Wisconsin that has been pressing the same gray pellet for 100 years and spends almost nothing telling anybody about it. Go ahead and guess which one carries the bigger price tag. The gap between them, the difference in what you hand over at the register, is not mostly about what's inside the bag. It is about the brand stamped on the front, the box it ships in, the ad budget baked into the cost, and that upsell calendar engineered to bring you back to the register 4 separate times a year. The whole model leans on one quiet little assumption. It assumes you will never stand in that aisle and actually compare the 2 bags side by side. The golf course superintendent compared them decades ago. He buys the plain bag by the pallet off a loading dock because his paycheck depends on how the turf actually looks, not on how pretty the packaging is. So look, I'm not standing here telling you to march home and throw out every bag in your garage. I'm telling you what a guy on a golf course told me over a fence, that I went and checked for myself, and that it holds up. A 100-year-old bag of dried Milwaukee microbes, 6, 4, 0, slow and patient, and almost impossible to burn your lawn with, is the same thing the Puros have quietly trusted the entire time. It greens up slower than the flashy stuff. It costs you less. That's the whole trade, laid out honest. But the real question isn't whether that plain bag works. The greenskeepers settled that one a century ago, out on the fairways. The real question is how many other things in that store are marked up the exact same way. How many plain, boring, genuinely good products are sitting one shelf over from a famous box with a calendar printed on the side, doing the same job for less money, betting everything on the idea that you'll never flip the bag around and read it. Because I started checking, and I'm telling you, the lawn aisle was just the first one.